I could not upload the data earlier because of my problem. But have you started going through today's contents and started the revision? Okay, so since I have uploaded the data very recently, you go through it and whatever questions, whatever, whatever revision, whatever you want me to discuss, you tell me. And in another half an hour time at least, we should be resuming with Spring Security. So do let me know whenever you are ready, or in the meantime, ask anything and everything. Whatever you're not understood, ask me questions. Continue. I have not uploaded any advanced Java instructions. So because it is exactly the same, I have written in the sequence file. So if you see the sequence, this will tell you, I have already written things in the sequence file. So do refer to it and start revising. I'll show you somewhere the jar file and war file creation. This will be definitely required when you are deploying your project, or at the end phase in your project. So that will not take you more than 5-10 minutes. And we are resuming here with Spring Security whenever you are ready. Start. I mean, continue.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
मॅम लॉंगबुक इन्स्टॉल मध्ये एक प्रॉब्लेम होता मी शेअर करू शकतो का स्क्रीन
I'm not able to hear you for some reason. Just a second. Huh? Can you speak louder or increase the volume?
हॅलो हॅलो मॅम आता येतोय आवाज
कमीच येतोय frankly. एक मिनिट, माझ्या ह्याच्यात प्रॉब्लेम आहे का? एक सेकंद. हा बोल.
मॅम ऍक्च्युली लॉंबॉक इन्स्टॉल मध्ये प्रॉब्लेम येतोय
का नाही मला ऐकू येते?
एक मिनिट
I'm not able to. You are also not able to, ना? Okay, okay. Can you increase your voice level, volume level? कारण खूप कमी ऐकू येतं आणि मला कळत नाहीये. Sure, Mohit.
हॅलो आता येतोय
फार काही येत नाहीच आहे, तरी सुद्धा बोल. I'll try to hear.
सॉरी सॉरी मॅम ऍक्च्युली लॉंबुक इन्स्टॉल मध्ये प्रॉब्लेम येतोय तर मी
हा,
शेअर करू का
हो करू शकतोस, पण आय एम नॉट शुअर हाऊ फार. कारण मी ऑलरेडी सांगितलंय ज्यांना प्रॉब्लेम येतोय लंबॉकचा, त्यांनी रिइन्स्टॉल आयडी करा. तू केलंस का रिइन्स्टॉल आयडी?
नाही मॅम
परत एकदा डाउनलोड करून मग तसं कर. एक
ओके
काम कर, मी काल पण कोणाला तरी इन्स्ट्रक्शन दिली. आय डोंट रिमेंबर हू. Whoever, I'll just talk in English so that everyone will understand. Those who are still facing a Lombok issue, I'll share your screen. I'll look at your screen, but I don't think I'll be able to do much. But still, if I can't do much, the only solution I know of is you can this thing. You don't delete the workspace, obviously, but download maybe the next version, STS 3.9.17, to a different location, Mohit, and then specify that location, and all your earlier projects you can easily import it in the new workspace. So that is one thing. If you want, I can take a look at it. You can share, but I don't think I'll be able to do much, though anything. If you want, you can share. I've stopped my this. Oh, you are taking a minute in that. Fine. You let me know whenever you are ready. Yes, you can share the screen. I'll stop sharing. Share. एक मिनिट मोहित, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जरा व्हॉल्यूम काही करायचा, इन्क्रीज करायचा प्रयत्न करतोस का? म्हणजे मला ऐकू येईल तू काय बोलतोयस ते.
ओके एक मिनिट.
तर एनिवे पॅरलली दाखव मला, लेट्स नॉट वेस्ट युअर टाइम. आता 1.8.22 आहे का? बर ठीक आहे, कर. एक 2 मिनिटं होऊ देत. हा राहू देत. ओके, तर मला सांग असं, इथेच तुझं एसटीएस आहे ना?
येस.
स्पेसिफाय द लोकेशन. एक सेकंड थांब. शो मी व्हॉट दिस इन्स्टॉलर विल डू दिस. इथे स्पेसिफाय लोकेशनला क्लिक कर जरा. ओके, जा तिथे ऍक्च्युअली फिजिकली सी कोलन प्रोग्राम फाईल जिथे कुठे आहे ना तुझं एसटीएस, तर जी लोकेशन आहे ते दिस पीसी. नाही रे, युजर्स नाही, युजर्सला आहे,
हो.
सी ड्राईव्हला आहे ना. लोम्बोक नाही म्हणते मी
ओके
एक्लिप्स एसटीएस म्हणतीये.
ओके सॉरी.
एकच मिनिट थांब. हेच तुझा पाथ आहे. ओके, सिलेक्ट म्हण. ओके, आता म्हण इन्स्टॉल अपडेट. हे बघ, हा प्रॉब्लेम आहे. हा इन्स्टॉलरला ऍक्सेस परमिशन्स नाही आहेत, समजताय का?
हो.
रीड द एरर मेसेज. मी म्हंटल तुला, तुमचा अदर्स ऑल्सो गाईज, इफ युअर लोम्बॉक installer cannot write to the place where your STS ID is, how can it install the libraries? It cannot. Okay, so तू एक काम कर. एकच मिनिट इकडे जाऊन जर आपण म्हटलं, एनिवे तू एक काम करू शकतोस. तू असंच कर. तू आता एनिवे आपला आयडी काही इन्स्टॉल नाही, आयडी मी तुम्हाला दिलं होतं किंवा ते जारच आहे ना, तो आयडी दुसऱ्या एखाद्या फोल्डर मध्ये जिथे राईट परमिशन्स आहे तिथे कॉपी कर आणि तिथे स्पेसिफाय लोकेशन कर. ठीक आहे, आत्ता वेळ घालवू नकोस. यू कॅन ऑलवेज जनरेट द गेटर्स सेटर्स नो आर्क्स इव्हिनिंग टाइमला, वेन यू हॅव लॉट ऑफ टाइम, ट्राय दॅट. जेव्हा एरर मेसेज येतो मोहित, तेव्हा तो वाचला पाहिजे ना एरर मेसेज.
हो.
मग त्याशिवाय कसं करणार? लिहिलंय की क्लिअरली, आय कांट, लोम्बोक इज टेलिंग यू आय कांट राईट टू युअर एसटीएस डायरेक्टरी. मग तू कसं इन्स्टॉल करणार? एनिवे, स्टॉप शेअरिंग द स्क्रीन. समजलं तुला मी काय बोलले ते?
आता मी काय करू शकतो, जे आयडी आहे ते कुठे टाकू मी?
ते आता मला माहिती नाही, तुझं राईट फोल्डर, रायटिंग परमिशनचं फोल्डर कुठे असेल, की तू ऍडमिन रन ऍज ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटर करू शकतोस कदाचित. तो रन ऍज ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटर करून बघ. राईट क्लिक कर त्याच्यावर आणि
ऑप्शन नाही.
ओपन विथ, डबल क्लिक करायच्या आधी रन ऍज ऍडमिनिस्ट्रेटर म्हणून लॉग इन होऊ शकतोस का तू पीसीवर, लॅपटॉपवर?
ओके, करून बघतो मॅम मी एक वेळेस.
तू करून बघ जरा. हा, ऍडमिन ऍक्सेसचा प्रॉब्लेम आहे. आयदर गेट युअर सेल्फ ऍडमिन ऍक्सेस, म्हणजे तू कुठल्याही फोल्डर मध्ये लिहू शकतोस, अदरवाइज चेंज द लोकेशन. कशाची चेंज करणार लोकेशन? लोम्बोक जारची नाही, एसटीएस ची लोकेशन चेक करायची, चेंज करायची. ठीक आहे, ट्राय इट.
थँक्यू मॅम.
Yeah, I will do that, Akash. Definitely. The sites as in, I won't see, but yeah, the person, the writers whom I follow, I'll definitely tell you. Okay, guys, these are the either some of them are channels, YouTube channels, Java Brains, for example, Java Tiki in 20th minutes also. And these are the great persons, great authors who have contributed so much and keep contributing every day a lot. So you can definitely follow them. Clickjacking, no, you Google it. It's not two-way out of contents. So just say this one, na Shubham. Google clickjacking and you'll understand. It's just a known security attack. We have already got a list of contents to be finished in Java. Okay, so please just do Google clickjacking security attack and you'll see tons of material on it. The one which we mainly avoid is CSRF and all that. You'll have to learn. Guys, you are going to tell me whenever your vision is done as quickly as possible because I'll require some time definitely to talk about security and to get the things done further. So I'm not pushing you. You take your time, but do let me know whenever everyone decides to go ahead with security. Lot of changes, Ragini. So write to me separately because your entities also change. So I have somewhere, I had done it for one of the trainings, one of the requirements, the Spring Boot MongoDB things. So then I can give you that as a template project, I'll dig it up and share it. Write to me separately on a mail. You have my Gmail ID, you have my WhatsApp number. And whenever you are in the project phase, I'll prepare that. I'll dig it up. It is there somewhere. So, and send it to you. Okay, Ragini? Because it will change from the DAO layer. It's not okay. By the way, repository layer doesn't change. You still use the repositories. I mean, from Spring Data JPA framework, but because it supports MongoDB, but instead of extending from JPA repository, you start extending from MongoDB repositories and all. There are quite a few changes. I can't just tell you like, okay, these are the only ones. We can have a separate conversation for that. Yes, you can. You can, Rishikesh. But we are not looking at entity graphs at all. Where I've shown you anything about entity graphs. So all solutions I've shown you is via JPQL. So that is how I've explained. But you can use entity graphs for almost anything and everything. Yeah, right. It is a like of, next generation technology, they call it. No? That way it is. But Rishikesh, I mean, the J2E contents which you have, they themselves, it's such a big list. So accommodating, still I keep taking a lot of extra topics, but that I've not taken. But I have mentioned today in the sequence, just now somebody was requesting, lot of famous authors. So from that, there is a guy called as Corbin. How do you pronounce his full name? I don't know, Jansen or Hansen, whatever. So he is the authority on JPA. Both of these guys are authorities on JPA Hibernate. So you can just follow Rishikesh if you are interested in entity graph, anyone. So entity graph, JPA entity graphs, both have come out with very excellent tutorials, articles. But you need to little bit learn it and then only you'll be able to use it, like not offhand, like I was talking to Ragini. You are most welcome. But I'm saying whatever you other way, whatever you can do with entity graph, we have the solution in JPQL everywhere. I mean, all the solutions exist. So it is like, using the next generation thing. But the whatever you require, your project requirements, you will find it. And as I keep saying, in case worst case, if you don't find a solution, something you can't do it in JPQL, I've shown you there is a at the query annotation, native query to true, and you can write it in SQL also, in case you get stuck in the project phase. no more, Pushkaraj. We are tomorrow evening, we are calling it a day, calling it a module. So after that, no more, because everywhere, as you yourself said, I've been talking about it. And basically, it could be a little too early. When you guys are actually in the project phase, then you get stuck, and then offering the solution or then giving you a typical advice makes more sense. So I'll not be holding a separate session for that. Anytime, anywhere you get stuck, you can always write to me, you can call me at a mutually decided time, convenient time, and we can have. So answer to your question is no. Whatever along with I've been giving, likewise I'll be giving. Okay. But as I said, anytime you have a specific question, specific query, for a while ago, Ragini was asking me about, she has her MongoDB requirement. So I can talk to her regarding that and send her thing. That way it will go. Whatever I can help, I'll always help. Pranav is saying we can start. So I'm ready. I'm just waiting, Pranav, here. I'm not doing anything. So just a majority has to decide that we can start, and we can start then. So let us, people are saying start. I'll ask the other question, other way. Anyone wants more time to revise whatever I've been saying? If you're saying let us start, we can start right away. Okay, so I'm not seeing anyone who said wait. So let us continue. So what we had done is I've given you a lot of articles and a lot of security help and all of that. So let me open the main thing. The only thing which you have to refer to is basically regarding Spring Security. Rest all are the details. So already, I don't have to sell it to you. Why security, or what is the advantage of security, authentication, authorization, and protection against standard attacks, common attacks. The terms which you have to know, initial terms, later authentication and all, authentication manager and all I'll say, but credentials which hold your username, password, or email password combination. Principal, there's a what do you say, principal interface, that is, I think Java is not security.principal, who represents the currently logged in user. I'll explain it with the security flow. Authentication is confirming whether you are saying what you are saying you are is it matching with it. So confirming your identity. And authorization is finding out which permissions you have in a particular web application. So I take it that we have done something like this already, /user/customer, and we got the simple string responses. So did it work? Yes, it worked. And when we added just a simple Spring Security jar, and when we tested the endpoints, did it work? So in short, were they accessible? These endpoints were accessible or not accessible to us anymore? Answer is not accessible. So it did not work. What does it imply? It implies all the endpoints were protected, and you got a standard response. So what was the response on Postman? Which was the response status code you got? Tell me the response code you got. 401, unauthorized. Actually, it means, unauthenticated and unauthorized, they mix up. So 401. Actually, if the authentication succeeds and authorization fail, you get that 403, forbidden. So basically, you're not authenticated. Now, I would say, just observe things, guys. This is got REST application, RESTful web service. But I'm saying, since I have written only get as the mappings, you can also check something very, you can check some things on the browser also. So why don't you start this application, day 21 Spring Security demo, run as Spring Boot app. Before dispersing today, remind me to show you the jar and war file creation. If you are observant, and you should be, you can see this is nothing but a UUID, universally unique identifier. So there are things which are happening, and as everyone knows, whatever you do, you are getting this 401 unauthorized, equivalent to unauthenticated. But what I wanted you to do is just copy this and try it from the browser. Because I'm just asking you to make all these observations, which will be clearer. Sorry, this was a carbon. So this. And tell me, what did you observe? Try the same URL on the browser and tell me. This is an interactive session, so there is a response as expected. Did you try the same URL on the browser? And what is it you are getting? It will give you a login form. So who had generated this login form? Is it a Spring Boot, Spring Security Framework, or is it a browser who has given the form? It is the Spring Security Framework. And if you say here, view page source, you can see the actual form which is generated. So you can see all these things. You can, container and CSS part you can see later. And here form class and all, method equal to post, standard action submitted is /login. And somewhere I wanted to show you, yeah, input type username, name username, etc. placeholder. And required, that is okay, focus. Yeah, so the username and the password, and there is a hidden form field, input type hidden. This is the CSRF token, cross-site request forgery. Again, about the attacks, you'll have to do reading on your own. Okay, so this is the form which has been submitted, which has been downloaded by Spring Security Framework automatically. But here you will be wondering that where I have supplied any username and password. So the default username is user, type here user, and that UUID, go to the console, what is it called? Server side console. Will you see using generated security password, copy this and paste it here. And, oh, bad credentials, surprised. Did I miss out on anything? Anyway, I'll just check. Should not give the bad credentials. Okay, I must have copy pasted it wrongly. Some white spaces and all that. 404. No, 404 should not come. That means you are again making another mistake. Guys, I have shared all the projects, so please pick it up fast. So it will give you the access to the endpoint you are trying to access. So those who are having 404, check. I don't know, like you might have 404 means there is some problem with your REST controller. Check your REST controller. Okay. And similarly, now see something. You should always observe. Try the other URL. So if you press enter, do you expect to see the form again? Answer is it won't be shown. Okay. So there must be something which is remembering your credentials at the back end. Check that other one. I don't remember. Admin, I guess. And you are getting all this. So once you what you say log in, it is keeping you logged in. There is a reason. The reason I'll tell you in a minute. And there is a, like how that /login endpoint is automatically given. There is a /logout also. Guys, are you trying out these things? That is why I told you this is an interactive coding. So after doing that, after giving the the name is user and the password is, pick it up from the server console and say /logout. It is asking you. So who is generating the login and logout pages for us? Is it browser generated, programmer generated, or Spring Security Framework generated? Answer is Spring Security, SS you can say, right? So you can see so much happening just by, I hope you are suitably impressed. And this is like the beginning. So just by adding one Spring Boot starter dependency, you got all of that. And it gives you that you have been signed out or something and brings you back. See, you can keep watching /login /logout. And of course, now the credentials are all gone. So if you try to access For example, again, admin, it will route you to the form. Observing the same behavior, getting the same observations, 100%. If you're not made any mistake, you have to. That is because, okay, because it's little lengthier, but Spring Security has got, as your Spring Boot, some default mechanism. So one of that default mechanism is form login. So when we have not even written any Spring Security configuration, the default configuration includes the form login and includes basic authentication also. So that basic auth, I will show you from the Postman, but here you enjoy form login, where the /login /logout pages are all generated automatically using what? Using your Spring Security framework. Okay, so this is it. And you can open the inspect option, and you are going to see this whole thing. Remembering the client credentials is still happening using your JSession ID cookie. So for example, if you give the credentials, and you can see, where is this? I'm just showing you the application cookie. And can you see our famous JSession ID? Are you seeing this JSession ID cookie? Check the client browser and tell me. You should be looking at it. 100% you are going to get it. So unless until you delete the cookie, you are going to stay logged in. Okay. So I've shared a lot of diagrams from a lot of articles. So there is one thing. Just a second. Yeah. So here, see this. Your client sends you a request. This request passes through the security filter chain. I've shown you something like 15 plus filters are activated. Not all of them are required. So it's a chain of filters. So if a particular filter has a particular pre-processing or later post-processing to do, then it will be done. Then once the security filter chain, so I'll tell you which is the filter which is being used now. It is the authentication filter. Okay. So after that comes the authorization. So here, after that, what does that authentication filter do internally? It invokes the authentication manager, and authentication manager checks what are the available authentication providers. So you'll be wondering, I have not specified a word. So what is she talking about? These are all the default settings. So here, by default, the only authentication credentials it has is the user and that UUID, universally unique identifier. So once it is done, so now once you give the seat, till the time you are not giving the correct credentials, you are getting bad credentials, etc. So once the authentication succeeds, these authentication details, including your username and password, are stored on the server side. Okay, so what is that place where all the security related information is held? The answer is security context holder. So this is the object which is maintained by Spring Security on the server side. And what it holds is the secure context is what? Context is nothing but the environment. So security context. And there are methods to get access to that. And within that, this authentication object, which contains your user credentials, there's a flag. There is a authentication is an interface. So it has a flag is authenticated. So that returns true in case of successful authentication. So the point is basically the authentication details in case of a success are stored into security context holder or server side security. And the key to this information is what? Nothing but our usual ID, usual cookie, JSession ID. So in HTTP session, everyone remembers HTTP session. So where are HTTP session objects maintained? On the client side or server side? I'm talking about HTTP session. Why pass different? I don't know why pass different. I did not understand your question, Omkar, at all. Anyway, let me continue. You ask me again. So here, what is it I'm saying? Yeah. So HTTP session objects are stored on the server. So HTTP session object, you remember it internally maintains the session scope attribute map. So one of the attribute holds the pointer to this security context holder. Okay. And the key to that HTTP session object is what? JSession ID cookie. And that JSession ID cookie is sent to the client browser in a response. So the next time, the same before you log out. So let me not go to the logout. So before you say that /logout and all, JSession ID cookie will be sent. So from the HTTP session, your Spring Security filters, authentication filter basically gets the stored security context. It will check from that, it will check the authentication object. Have we already succeeded the authentication in the earlier request? Yes or no? Is the authentication successful in the earlier one? Yes, then only this information is maintained. Unauthenticated user who's going to maintain. So there will be nothing there. You'll get an exception and all that. Anyway, so the authentication details are pulled out from HTTP session. And that is the reason next time you give, so I gave /admin, we were prompted to the login form. After the credential succeeded, I have not done any role-based authorization yet. So all my endpoints became accessible till you explicitly say, whatever, localhost something 8080/logout. So obvious question, what do you think must be occurring in that logout action? What your Spring Security Framework must be doing on whatever localhost 8080/logout, login/logout. Easy guess. The same thing which we used to do. What do you think Spring Security Framework is doing upon logout? Invalidate the session. Are you understanding? So the discarding the HTTP session object. So naturally all the session scope attributes are unbound. So does it still hold the information about your authenticated user, or is the information lost? The information is lost. And that is the reason next time you try to access any resource, currently no authorization, don't expect any authorization. This is all the defaults I'm explaining. You will be prompted to the login form again, Spring Security generated. And all of this happens because the default, default security mechanism is done via form login. Understood why you are lost? Siddharth, Anshumala, you decided and you said this. All three of you are lost. Where did you lose? Which answer you lost? No, tell me. Because once I go into the flow, I don't even every time. The details about
Details,
after the okay. Here, listen to this. Till logout, everyone survived. I don't have to repeat anything till logout. Tell me. Okay, so when you saw that page like login/logout. So when I said /logout, what is removed? The answer is HTTP session object is gone, is marked for garbage collection. Like how we used to say session.invalidate. So HTTP session object is gone. And what was one of the session scope attribute? Do you remember HTTP session internals? HTTP session has session ID, creation time, maximum expiration time and all that. Plus it maintains the map of attributes. So that is what we use, $session scope.attribute name, isn't it? So I said one of the attributes in that was a pointer, was a reference to this security context holder. So now here and tell me, the moment your HTTP session object is gone, and even if your client browser is sending you the JSession ID, see that even after logout, JSession ID cookie is not deleted from the client side. So, but will it map to any HTTP session object on the server side? It's a Boolean question, yes or no? I said, even when the client browser sends the JSession ID cookie, does it have the corresponding HTTP session object on the server side? 100% not. So you have lost the reference to that authentication details. So next time you are sending the request after logout, the authentication filter, one of the filters in the chain, tries to look up, is there any way it can access the authentication details, but the HTTP session object is gone. You have lost the reference to this entire security context holder. So at that point, authentication filter gets the answer. No, I mean authentication exception it gets. And in case of authentication exception, it will route you to which one, which page, you are redirected to. You are redirected to which page automatically by the Spring Security. That is your login page. Understood now what I said? And if you are still kind of feeling lost, I don't remember now, I'll have to dig up. One of these days, I had shown you. I'll have to search because I seriously don't remember. HTTP session, you remember? Internals or something. So, oh, I found it. So here, this is what I meant, guys. You have to, there is a more involved picture also. So this is your outermost map, HTTP session holder. This is inside. Okay, sorry. This is the heap. This is the map, contains the JSession ID and the HTTP session object. And the inner map is the session scoped attribute map. So this attribute name it maintains internally for Spring Security. And this reference, this pointer is the pointer to security context holder. So if you say at logout, if this HTTP session object is gone, in the next request, can your Spring Security framework extract the authentication details? That kind of a question I was asking you. Oh, okay. Okay. Now I got it. So sorry for, but anyway, we got the revision done. I'm so sorry for doubting you. So, yeah. So is this now fully clear, doubly clear, guys? Okay, so that's better. See, anything helps us. Whatever helps us, whatever helps you finally, we are all for that. Okay, so coming back to the point, just by adding a single jar, not single jar, my mistake, single dependency. And that dependency is nothing but your, I was wondering why it was not clear, but anyway, that's my headache. So Spring Security, just by adding one one starter, Spring Boot starter security. And of course, there is a excellent testing support for this. So Spring Security test, the whole default mechanism was supplied. So this finishes the first step towards Spring Security. So even when you don't add anything extra, as in anything what, any configuration, Spring Security is intelligent enough to give the login support. But now I have a question for you. Are you going to write, are you going to create projects with a what? With a monolithic web application, or are you going to use it in a full stack manner? Everyone, I hope, is going to write a full stack project. In short, it has a front end and a back end. So which will be the better testing mechanism for us? Will it be tested better from the browser or Postman? When you have a full stack and a backend you are wanting to test with a browser, this one, Siddharth, you are wrong. This is possible through the browser, Siddharth, because I'm just having a get mapping. What about post mapping? What about put mapping? I mean, post, put, delete. Can you really test all these requests, Siddharth, using your browser? Answer is no. Are you getting my point? So see, guys, last one day. So let's not have any confusion among us. So the point is, come to your Postman and let's try it out. And here you will start getting another aspect of Spring Security. So try this out, localhost 9090, and you tell me what is it you get? What is it you got still? 401 unauthorized. You just keep telling me whether you got the same observation. Otherwise, once I go in the flow, I don't sometimes look at the chat messages. Tell me. go back to the Postman client and give the any URL, including /home. But 100% of the time, you will get 401 unauthorized. Getting the same? Okay. So now, tell me, are you seeing here any response as the login page and all? Of course not. It is for your REST client testing. So now what to do? Understood my problem, or understood our problem with the browser? Browser was taking, or rather Spring Security was sending a login form, and I showed you that part. And why it works on its own? Because the default configuration, which I'll tell you, which I'll show you in a couple of minutes, is supporting the form login. But can I have a form login kind of a thing with a Postman style client? Answer is no. So how do you add this? No worries. Your default Spring Security configuration also supports basic authentication. Actually, it is an authorization header. So follow the things. So here, can you see after params? Params is request parameter. Click on authorization. So this is that authorization header which we are setting. Okay. Later we will do it in a much better. This I'm just introducing you to Spring Security. Everyone got it? So here, which is the default authentication, or you can say authorize. It's an authorization header. So the default authorization it supports is basic auth. You got it? So selected this basic auth, and now it is anyone can tell what is the name of the user which your Spring Security has given you by default. Same credentials, user. I don't know whether I have this. Oh, I have it. And here, check something. Okay, so you can say show password and all. That's fine. But okay. First, you just say send and tell me, guys. Sorry, use a body of the response that I'm looking at. Sorry, I was wondering what is going on. So here, can you tell me, are you still getting HTTP 401, or are you getting a response okay? Are you able to access the resource? Simple question. Status okay, and you are able to access it. Now see the same thing. See, the observations have to be done. Then only you'll start understanding the internals and whatnot. So here, tell me. Just try to access the admin specific resource, getting it. Obviously, customer related. Tell me, all endpoints are working fine? They are. And is it giving you again 401? Absolutely not. So now let us dig deeper. Exactly what is happening. So when I say dig deeper, it's nothing. So just go to headers. Okay. And here, I'm looking at, I think. Should look at headers. Oh, I should be looking at request headers. I want to look at request headers, guys. I'm not looking. Oh, it was at the top. So please look at the request headers. Look at the header which your Postman is sending it to the what is it called, backend. So which is that header you are looking at? This is the header you are looking at. You can look at it from here. So which type of authorization, which type of policy it is using? It is using basic auth policy. And what are you looking at? This is nothing but, anyone knows? 404 still. Pushkarash, there is some problem with your endpoints. You should never get 404. Just give me 5-10 minutes. I'll tell people to do something else and I'll ask you to share screen. 404 means you have not written the test controller, guys. Take up my project, Spring Boot demo, or whatever that Spring Security demo, and work with that. Okay. So just give me the time. I'm in the middle of explanation. I said here, I have shared with you, uploaded the project day 21 Spring Security demo. I expect, but I mean, I don't know your problem, so I can't say whether you are wrong or something is genuinely wrong. So in the test controller, you should have @rest controller and three what? Endpoints, /customer, /admin, /home. If you are not having that, 100%, you will get the 404. So you have tried my project and still you are getting Pushkaraj, are you still getting it? Okay, I'll ask you to import this thing just in 5 minutes. Give me 5 minutes. So coming back to the point, because 404 is like little unexpected. So I was asking you, what are you looking at? This is that base 64 encoding. So is it a pure form of encryption? No. It just takes your username and a password and it uses a formula base 64. You can again Google base 64 encoding. So any any middleman or man in middle, whatever, can directly cannot access it. But if you know there are base 64 decoders and coders, so they can pass through it and they can access your username and password. So let me make a statement. Somebody was asking me project tips. So here is a project tip. So since your contents are talking about basic auth, I have to show you basic auth. But when you want to apply the Spring security to your project, I will definitely give you a ready-made solution in form of JWT, that is JSON Web Token. So currently let this work and let this be. And something else I wanted to show. Yeah, so you can scroll here and you can click on cookies. So here also the whole business is maintained using one cookie and the name of the cookie is nothing but JSession ID. And if you say here cross, you're deleting the cookie. Okay, so click on cookies and delete the cookie. And then look at this, look at the things, guys. Here, authorization. Remove the authorization header, say no auth and send it. And I hope you are looking at or you are again back to HTTP header 404 because your cookie is also gone. The cookie, the moment cookie is not sent, there's no way your Spring security can extract the authentication information from that Spring context, security context holder, and it doesn't remember you anymore. It doesn't know you anymore. So again, you get back 401. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll pause here. One of you, show me the screen. Whoever is getting 404. I've stopped my this. One of you show, and we'll see whether it is the same problems with other. 404 is like unlikely, I thought, but I don't know. One of you start sharing the screen. Whoever is getting a Pushkaraj. Okay, Pushkaraj, show me. Girish is sending you a request. Okay, somebody else. He doesn't want to, he cannot, he has this thing. Guys, I'm not going to wait more than 2-3 minutes. So those who are +1, I could see. So those +1 guys, send. Yes, of course, Shraddha. I'm waiting for somebody to, share screen so I can look at it. Because without looking at it, I really don't know what is going wrong. This one, Shraddha, just a second. Let us do it from scratch. Show me your controller, please. com.app.controller, test controller. That says controller. No. I said test.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's see whether your endpoints are up and running. I mean, actually there. Okay, answer me something. This one. Was it running before adding Shraddha? I'm talking to you. Was it running fine before adding the Spring security jar?
No.
It wasn't. Okay.
Yes,
So then there's a different problem, different level problem. Let me see. Hello customer /admin/home. Looks fine. Show me your pom.xml. If your Spring security jars did not get loaded properly, can cause an issue. But should not have again. Come down. Let me see the Spring security starters. Come down. I need to see the Spring Security starters. Yeah, comment. Hello, wait. Comment. I'll tell you the line numbers. You can see 54 say 62. All Spring Security, Spring Boot starter and Spring Security test. 62.
62.
Control Shift // Okay. Okay, that's it, I guess. Yeah, save and update, force update the Maven. We'll just see whether it is a security issue or some other issue. Guys, others, Pushkaraj and Girish and whoever, did your endpoints work without force update kiya? Ha. Without the Spring Security? Tell me, were they working earlier? Okay, they were, you are, see guys, whenever you answer me, please answer me with thinking. Okay, so this thing, you force updated, Shraddha, right? Now right click and run it as Spring Boot app, please. And show me the console. Your console, I can't see your minimized console. Double click on console. Console is what you should be looking at, huh? Okay. You guys also take a look at it. If anyone finds a problem, don't just sit there, tell us the problem. So I can see the, oh no, it is again using the security password and all. It is not this thing. It is again using this. See, I can see using generated security password. So show me project pe click karo. This one, Shraddha. Project, yeah. File, edit, navigate, search, project. Menu. ऊपर का टाइटल बार के नीचे. No. Hello. हाँ, go right side. Search, project, run, window. अरे नहीं. This one. अरे project tab. Project menu. हाँ. Click on that. It is built automatically. So say clean just once. Clean. ऊपर. Clean. Don't click on build automatically.
मैम वो कंपाइल होने प्रोजेक्ट बिल्ड होने का था और रन कर दिए थे कोड. नीचे में प्रोग्रेस बार आ रहा था उसका.
तो मे बी
अभी कंप्लीट हुआ.
क्लीन ऑल प्रोजेक्ट्स नहीं श्रद्धा. अरे वेट, क्लीन ऑल प्रोजेक्ट्स में बहुत टाइम लगता है. वी वांट टू क्लीन ओनली एक प्रोजेक्ट. डबल क्लीन यू डू इट इन. अरे नहीं सॉरी वगैरह नहीं. दैट्स जस्ट द थिंग इज, so it has to update the changes. Double click on console ऊपर drag करो so I can keep looking at the console all the time.
Yes ma'am.
Progress bar also you were saying that things were not this thing. You're not finding it anyway. Double click on progress bar, Shraddha, please first. I'll take the control. Maybe it's easier. You know, when the net connection is not so good, then this troubles me. Anyway, let's check. I was saying I wanted to see the progress. Okay, it is still happening. So don't run the project till then. That is what one of you were saying. I told you cleaning all projects means takes so much time. You should have cleaned only the one which we are working on. So let this finish now. Guys, you try. I've given you the instructions. Please try. And tell me. Once you have removed or commented Spring Security, clear the screen. See that application, this thing. Hello. So yes, this is your project itself has a problem. Your application property file is wrong. So edit, guys, these things I will not waste time on. You should not get an error. That means your application properties file, Shraddha, is not containing the entries. Open application .properties. See, it is telling you your project itself has not started properly. So I don't know what kind of a thing is happening. Because it is giving you, see, database URL and all. No, maybe then some other project was not working properly. So say now here the instruction. Go to project and clean only day 21 Spring Security demo. Okay, so click clean and don't say all projects, please. Remove that, uncheck that checkbox. Yeah, remove that checkbox and just clean our today's. Yeah, top of the list. Fine. Now say clean. So I want to see whether any problems are there. Please double click on console or progress pe click karo. I'm not able to click from here sometimes, you know, that's why I'm asking you. It is still not done it. It's still not done. It may not have cleaned our project at all. Anyway, let this happen. In between, I'll find out some more times like this. Let this cleaning happen. But you keep on doing the, what is it called? Coding. Don't fall back. Don't fall behind. Any of you, it is not working. You can stop sharing the screen. Let this all stop.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
repeat the instructions again. There is nothing which can go wrong, ideally speaking. You can stop sharing the screen. I'm sharing my screen. So here, I have given you a ready-made project which has got 3 simple endpoints. And after cleaning up, you should not have any problems regarding Spring Security. What about the others? Did it start working? Girish is saying working now. Or what is it? I don't know. Which part? Girish, Pushkaraj. Still 404. So what are you saying to this? Postman is working. That means you are okay. This one. This thing. What is it? No. Wait, let me phrase. Are your cookies disabled? Your cookies should not be disabled. Working on Postman and not on browser means your cookies check karo. Have you disabled the cookies? Because everything is based on that J session ID cookie. If you have disabled the cookies, it won't work. We keep playing with the cookies all the time, right? Enable, disable and all. So anyway, we are going to get rid of it. We are not going to test guys hereafter on this. You're not, where did I tell you, Yogesh, to type /login? You have to try. This is the Springs. You're not getting the point, guys, which is unnecessarily wasting time. I never asked you. See this here. Here, this is working because my cookies and my the session tracking is working. I told you, I never asked you to do this. I told you to access any of the endpoint which you have written. And let's stop this discussion because it is getting out of hand. Here, no, I'll say this in a proper manner so that you know, otherwise you should not feel. We are not going to use browser client hereafter. All the testing we are going to do for your REST APIs 100% on Postman. So let me ask you a question. I'll say this slowly. Is it working for everyone with Postman client at least? Anyone for whom it is not working on Postman also, after setting the basic auth header, it is working. So I would say I'll definitely look into the problem because I don't think it is too much of an effort, but at least let me continue so we can cover the more steps in Spring Security. Okay. If you don't want, we'll not look at browser client at all. Finally, we are going to test everything with your React frontend. When you connect React frontend and add this authentication stuff. So in the meantime, we will use the Postman. So let me not change it back to a browser at all. Okay. So I hope you understood that this thing, what is it called? Even with just one jar. Now, Shraddha, please uncomment those security jars, Spring Security jars. One is testing jar and one is a normal jar, and force update it and continue with the rest of us. Okay, so that nobody will lag behind. Now let me ask you. When we tested it with your Postman, we had to supply the authentication header, basic auth, and here we had to add all of this, and then things were working. Is my server up and running? I'm just checking. Yeah, so I can test this, send it, and you can see that I'm getting a 200. Sorry, on this body content. So I'm getting all the details properly. But tell me, from your instinct, from your common sense, do you seriously think you are going to work with that user, named user, and the password generated in a UUID format with the Spring Security Framework? Or do you want to add your own users and your own passwords? So in short, this step, which is done automatically, provided automatically by Spring Security, desirable or undesirable? Of course, we want our own credentials. Everyone understands it? So this I just wanted to show you the Spring Security magic, which it does automatically. So here, observation, you read the observation, suddenly and automatically, all endpoints are now protected. So on browser, it will prompt you to the login form. Some of you it is not working. And on Postman, it will give you 401. So I've written all the, what do you say, answers to your question. So without configuring, this is what Spring Security giving you without configuring anything. But we don't want from authorization, everything explained, base 64 encoding. And here there is a filter called as basic authentication filter that is getting what do you say, activated. So I've talked about basic authentication. It adds a header, authenticate, basic authentication header, and whatever credentials you are sending, it could be username, password, it could be email password, they are encoded. But this is not a real encryption technique. It is just a mild. Mild means not really security prone and all that. Anyone can apply base 64 decoding and can get access to your username, password. So it is 100% not desirable to use such automatically generated credentials. So let us continue to the next step. So what is the next step? Can I override these automatically generated username and a password from on my own, on my selection? Answer is yes. So application property file, everyone knows. So here is what, copy this. I've given you, this is the main README regarding Spring Security. So copy these, and here you can give your own details. So copy this. Typically while editing the property file or doing anything, it will get automatically started, but my suggestion is stop the application. Go to this security demo, and where is that application property? And you can give a comment here, Spring Security credentials, and paste that, and you can give anything what you want. Okay. And so you got that username, spring.security. Just take the cursor here and it will give you the pop-up. It is spring.security username. Default username is user, which is what you tested, and we are replacing it by our own username. And if you just take this, sorry, it is replacing the default password also. Save it, run it. And like I said, basically, ideally the form login that is on browser and Postman should work, but forget browser. If for some of you it is causing problem, so test it on the Postman and tell me what happened. Is it working with the new credentials on Postman? Give any credentials. I just, fond of name Rama. So here, so it is giving me, oh, I'm surprised. It should not give me this. Have I added the authorization header, basic auth? This is still supported. So the new one, which I really wanted to test, was the password. And then I wanted to send it. So tell me guys, working with your new credentials? And the same story. After that, the moment you have set this basic auth header, basic authentication header, but the name of the header actually is authorization. But what it is internally doing is only authentication filter. So there is a thin line between, sometimes they call it as authentication authorization, but you be clear. Authentication, knowing who you are, confirming your identity. Authorization, we have not even started. Coming back to the point, it stays put. You can access all the endpoints. And the moment you delete the cookie, everything is still happening in that internal cookie JSession ID. And remove the header, make it to no auth header, and you will be back to unauthorized. Getting the same observation, universally working for everyone with the newly added credentials. Okay. So now next step. Do you want to hard code these credentials in such a manner? Or okay, let me say this properly. When you add this in application property file, you're just adding a set of one pair of credentials. So I'll just ask you a direct question. Is it still desirable? Slightly better than earlier, because you are getting a chance to say, but desirable or undesirable still? 100% undesirable. Who wants to hard code these here? Our ultimate goal, I told you the end goal already. It is going to be the database based authentication. Okay, but we are reaching there. We have certain steps to cross. Okay, so this is not what I want you, but I just took you step by step, so you can whatever comment this out. And now we'll talk about how to. Okay, you can stop this, because now I'm explaining Spring Security configuration. So tell me, till the time, I mean, the next point is yet to start. So till now, other than adding Spring Boot Security Starter, have we added even a single line of Spring Security configuration? Added any configuration or not yet? Simple question, simple answer. Answer is not yet. So now it is high time you start instructing. I told you, Spring Security is extremely flexible and customizable framework. If you remember what I said about AOP, this is the aspect, this is a built-in aspect enabled by that filter chain, and you can customize it thoroughly. So first read about it a little bit, and then we'll do it together. So this is ultimate goal, but we are a little away from it. So to understand the working of Spring Security, what we are going to use is, we are going to continue with basic authentication, because that is all is in your contents. But here I'll show you in-memory authentication. See the word in-memory authentication. So naturally, obvious question is, where would be these authentication details stored? In database or in memory? Of course, in the memory. So that is what it is. So now guys, take a look at that diagram to make sense. So here, currently what is happening? I'll tell you what is happening. The moment your client is sending you a request comes from here, having the basic auth header set, the authentication filter is activated. Authentication filter creates the authentication object which holds only credentials. See guys, it's a little confusing diagram or confusing statements, because you can see input is also authentication and output is also authentication. But check the difference. What is that incoming authentication object holding? Credential or principal? Credentials. Means what? Only user supplied username and a password. Username can be changed to replaced to email. In short, user supply details. So forget about the outgoing path. That is the last thing. These are this authentication object is stored in that security context folder, but we are away from it. So I have hardly done any configuration. I'm giving you what is automatic configuration. Spring Security is all about automatic configuration. So here, these credentials have been submitted to the authentication manager, security supplied, Spring Security supplied, which has the method authenticate. And this authentication manager, okay, let me say this properly. The authentication manager is an interface in that Spring Security core framework. I'll show you the API little later. So authentication manager interface is implemented by a class called as provider manager. So that provider manager is going to check, is there any authentication provider who can clarify, who can confirm the identity of the user. So Spring Security framework, does it support a single type of authentication provider or different type of authentication provider? Answer is multiple type of authentication providers. So currently, as a default, it is using that user. I mean, earlier it was using user and that UUID, or whenever we added that this basic authentication, it was using that. So this authentication provider, this is another interface, has two methods again, supports, it's a Boolean returning method. So if a particular, this is your in-memory authenticator, reading it from the Spring properties file, application property file. So in-memory authenticator returned true, and it was reading the details from our application properties file. But now what I want to do is, I don't want to go to this side. User detail service, the database and all will come later. But I want to replace those hard-coded user credentials by actually in-memory authentication provider. So if you want to actually replace the hard-coded authentication details, credential details, now you can't be lazy. So here we start adding the configuration. So here is where we pitch in as a programmer and we say, I want to customize it. So don't take it off the way you want. I want to to customize the framework. Okay. So now are the steps where you are creating for the first time I'm showing you creating a security configuration. So this is where anytime you want to give the instructions to the framework, you can either write XML. That was your pure XML approach, which I started you some 8-9 days ago. I don't know. Then it was a hybrid approach. So lesser XML and majority annotations. And I told you with Spring Boot, you have 0 XML, pure annotations. And now is the concept of configuration classes. So Spring Boot supports 0 XML approach. So we are going to write in a minute a Spring security configuration class. And when you saw those basic authentication working and the form login working, why this was working? Because there is already written, see this thing OSSC, I mean, okay, ORG Spring Framework Security Config. It supports you a default configuration in the form Web Security Configurer Adapter. So we don't want to change the whole setup. We will change it over time. So we are going to create, in simple English, a subclass extending from Web Security Configurer Adapter. And how do you tell container, Spring Container, to enable the web security configuration? Answer is there is a special annotation @enable web security. And you will see we will be adding the password encoder beans, authentication manager beans. So unless and until you annotate the class with add configuration, it's a stereotype annotation. You can't add the bean definitions. So what is the next step we are going to do? Are we going to inherit? Are we going to follow Spring security supplied configuration, or are we going to customize it? Tell me. I'm repeating what I said. Are we going to use exactly the way it is available, or are we going to customize it further? Answer is we're going to customize it. How do I customize? I can customize using XML based instructions. Too old approach, scrap it. Hybrid approach, some XML, majority annotation, scrap it. We are in Spring Boot, guys. We are not in a legacy Spring framework. So what we are going is, we are going for 100% 0, no XML approach. But whatever instructions you are giving in XML, such as bean ID, you remember bean ID, class, auto-var attribute, etc., they have to be added somewhere. So what is going to be equivalent of Spring Bean configuration XML file? This is the tag. Oh, sorry, this is the annotation @configuration, and there you can add Spring Bean information. Everything will become clear over time. But guys, do you want to reinvent the wheel, as in start from scratch, or do you want to take the support from the existing framework? Answer is I don't want to reinvent the wheel. Definitely not. They have given you some base classes, convenient base classes. We are going to extend from it. Okay. So reached 5% at least. What is the next step we are going to take? The next step is I'm not taking you to DAO based authentication. That is little further. So I'm taking an intermediate step and showing you two things. One is in-memory authentication. So that will give you an idea about authentication. Plus, we will add our own authorization rules. Okay, so that way step-by-step approach. So continue. Go to your IDE and stop the, okay, my thing is already stopped. So here, now, this is the first time I'm customizing, or rather we are customizing, giving the order to Spring Security Framework, which is already doing its job. So now, where should I add the configuration classes? Answer is anywhere under the base package. That's a default setting. Otherwise, you have to use that component scan and all. So start with me, guys. src main Java class. Let's create a package here, com.app.config. Generally, I give the name config for configuration. And since it is going to contain security configuration, I call it typically as security config. You can call it as my config, your config, anything. Name does not matter, any name. But please add the package under the base package com.app, so it will be automatically scanned. Done this much? So create a security configuration. You can say config is a short form. So you can say security configuration, or you can say web security configuration, anything. Now, what is the convenient base class, which is already having loads of defaults? So extend it from web security configurer adapter. So choose web security configurer adapter. Provides a convenient base class for creating web security configurer instance. It's a base class which has lot of defaults. And which defaults? 2 minutes I'll show you the defaults. So have you added this? See, packaging is really huge. So that is why the short forms OSSC, annotation web configuration. People are not going to ask you to remember the packaging. People are interested in knowing whether you can configure the security and whether you understand the Spring Security flow. Okay, done or not? Keep telling me, guys, so I can take you further. Okay, but it is an ordinary class. How did you tell container that whatever follows is a controller @ controller, service @ service? Basic annotation was component. So now you are learning a new annotation @ configuration. Oh. Configuration. So read this. Indicates that a class can declare one or more @bean. @bean, it's a bean is a tag. Exactly same equivalent to your XML tag. And this will be processed by all these beans, whichever you add here, will be automatically processed by Spring Container. So this is your 100% equivalent. I'll give in writing. So this is your to tell Spring Container that the class below will contain the annotated methods equivalent to our good old XML tag. Which XML tag I'm talking about? Bean ID, class, init properties, init methods, and all that. So whatever we used to write in XML files using the bean tags, you will see there will be a corresponding annotation @bean, a method level annotation, and that method will return the bean instance. Okay, so this is first one. I'll send you the comment and all in a minute. But this doesn't enable the web security. So here there is a compulsory another annotation. Enable web security. See this. Add this annotation to the configuration annotator class to have Spring Security configuration defined. And which is the class they are asking us to extend? Web Security Configurer Adapter. So do both this. And I'll write this to enable Spring Security support. Both the annotations are mandatory. I'll send you this. Whatever we have done so far. It's just for the comments, not for the code. Okay, finish this. Done so far? Can I continue? We've not done anything. We just have a blank class. Now, guys, the internal start. I mean, okay, I can't tell you too many internals in the limited time, but whatever I can. So simply say control click, and it will take you to the web security configurer adapter, your super class. Okay. Now look for a configure method, which we are going to override in a minute. So we'll see couple of configure methods. So say configure, and you'll see this is the method we are going to override. Configure with authentication manager builder. See the builder pattern again. Where you heard builder yesterday, recently, which builder we were talking about yesterday? See, I'm trying to connect the dots, connect the earlier topic to today. Yes, REST template builder, very right. So that was building what? The REST template. So naturally, authentication manager builder will build us what? Authentication manager instance. Okay, so this is your one interface, one method which we will override. And have we yet reached to DAO based authentication, which will use your database credentials? Unfortunately not. So here we will supply, authentication manager builder has a method in memory authentication where you can actually configure user, password, etc. Okay, so all those things we will add. So this is one method. Now look for, again, there are so many configure methods. So find the next one. You find the one with, okay, not this one. I want the HTTP one. Okay, I'll just add this, or if you can't find it, forget. I'll show you here from HTTP. There's a HTTP security. Yeah, I'll tell you the line number 352. Reached here. This is the default implementation. I'm just trying to show you there's nothing magical about it. You know that magic doesn't exist. I mean, okay, that way I'm not this thing, just as far as Spring Security. The point is here, somebody means your base class, web security configurer adapter has already given you the default configuration, and try to understand. So this is your debug. Okay, why this is not seen? Because the default logging level, guys, is info. You can change it to debug, and trust me, not trust me, you see it actually, you will actually start seeing all these debugging statements. I will change the logging level to debug sometime. Okay, now understand. This is that uses your Lambda and all. So here, HTTP security is the object which is passed. It is asking you it is calling a method authorize request. Similar methods we are going to call. So understand me. And for each and every request, Lambda. Here, read this carefully. Each and every request. So request.any request means any request coming from the client should be authenticated or should it be allowed? Answer is authenticated. So are you understanding, guys? Just by adding Spring Security Starter, suddenly your application was stopped working. Stopped working means every endpoint was protected thanks to this default configuration. Making sense or lost? I mean, are you lost or is it clear? Making sense a little bit. Because once you start looking at it, see the take the cursor here. Specify that URLs that allowed only by any authenticated user. So this is the default mechanism which made you realize. And now, I don't know some of you why they did not see it in the browser, but it has already enabled form login. That is what is giving you login form, which you saw Spring Security supplied, logout option also /login/logout, and which is the authentication mechanism it is using by default, HTTP basic authentication. Configures HTTP basic authentication. So this is what was giving you the ready-made stuff which you saw earlier. Making sense? You have to do little bit of debugging. Without that, you can't get it. Okay, so this is what, and this is the method we are going to override to suit our own requirements. So two methods we are going to override, guys. one for authentication, one for authorization. This is for authorization, and the other one which I showed you, authentication builder manager base, we will override for authentication. Okay, so come back here, and here you can start working on it. So you can say your source override element, override this thing, implement methods, and choose, I'll tell you, yeah, first, second, third, third one, configure with authentication manager builder, because this is where you're going to configure your in-memory authentication manager. So do that, and also override the next one. So the first one we will use for authentication, and the next one we will use for authorization. Tell me when you are done. The two are authentication manager builder and the this. So you can give a comment, override this method. Later I'll show you. Later means next step. After this step completes with your understanding, I'll take you to the ultimate goal, which is DAO-based authentication. So, but that is some time away. Override this method to activate or to enable, whatever. Enable in-memory authentication. Okay. So of course you'll not say super.configure. We want to do it our own stuff. And here override this method to supply, to customize is a better word, to customize authorization rules. Of course, based upon rules. So let's start with the authentication and then we'll proceed to authorization. Understood what we are doing? One for authentication, one for authorization. Separation already exists. So start with me. Auth dot. There are a lot of methods. So there is something called as in memory. So look for the method. Just type in and you will get it. In memory authentication. And if you read the pop-up help, okay, I'll just adds the in-memory authentication to authentication manager builder. And that is what we want. So start with that. So this is where we are overriding that user and UUID password. This is where you are overriding. I'm not wanting to use that Spring Security application properties base. I want to code my own. So this is where you are enabling. You can keep writing. This is enables in memory. There's an in-memory stored there, just created in this in-memory authentication. But tell me, have we added any users or any roles or any password in this in-memory auth yet? Answer is no. So there are easy methods. So dot, you say user. Oh, sorry, there's a method called as with user. We hardly use it. So, but anyway, so that's not this. So here I'm saying with user, and here you supply the username. Guys, it is still hard-coded. I have yet to take you to database, which will be the next step, time-consuming step. So you know something. Now, here, I want to give the password here. So there will be something like password or with password I forget. Oh, it's a password. Okay. So here is a password. There's a catch there, but you'll understand that catch once we write it, something. And then you have the authorities also. So there are two methods. One is the authorities. This is string authorities. And there is a method. So here, if you use this authorities method, you have to add the prefix of role underscore admin, role underscore customer, role underscore manager, etc. But there is some method called as roles somewhere. Can you see that? Roles. So here you can supply the role names without that prefix, which is your whatever, admin and all that. So here, suppose I say Rama is having the admin access. So this is your first set. So, okay. So by now, how many these things, users you have configured in your in-memory authentication store? How many details? One detail, right? So now, so this is one or single user details, one user details added. Please Don't think that this is your ultimate thing. We are away from that. We are going to do everything from now. I mean, database, one user details. So here there is a method called as and is like a connector. So now you can configure as many users as you want. So let me not waste too much of your time. So this is returning you what? It's a method chaining. I hope, sorry, I did not mention. This whole approach is based on method chaining. So now I'll just, I'll just configure one more user. Don't configure too many, because this approach is going to be discarded in the next step. And here you say something else. So 2 users are like sufficient. Change this. And let's say customer role. So this is where you are configuring your in-memory authentication details. Let me send you the code in case you don't want to type it. Focus on understanding, not on typing. I mean, parallel, you can do both. So this is where we are building the in-memory auth store, in-memory authentication store, to be replaced by database soon. You let me know whenever you are done. Done? Good. So now what I'll do is just to have some, it always helps. At least it helped me a lot in the beginning whenever I was learning this security. So here, just for your reference, your understanding, this is your base form, or what do you say, super class version. This is what we are going to override, but some of the things I wanted exactly like this. So I just gave you a reference to. You can always control click on it and learn. So here, now we will start with our authorization mechanism. Authorization is what? Guys, now I hope you understood. You already have given. Okay, by the way, you can have multiple roles. I don't know whether you realized or not. It's a varargs. So I can say here, this thing, admin. Okay, so Mihir can have multiple roles, customer as well as admin. One user can have multiple roles. One role can have multiple users, many to many. So currently keeping it all simple, but it is possible. That's the point. So coming back to the point, now here we have got these users. Let us grant them these roles and all that. And let us say that this endpoint is accessible to this user, etc. So let's start. So everything starts with HTTP. This is your HTTP security. First thing you do is authorize request. Oh, okay, by the way, I'm not doing too many things on my own. So where is that? Authorize request. So I'm calling that. So authorize requests. Now, again, the whole thing is based upon completely method chaining approach. So here I want to say which authorization I want. So now let us start with, there is a, oh, it's not this, sorry, just a second. So here, now you are going to build the URL. It is like a router, exact path and a component in React. So that is what I'm doing here, but of course for protection. So there is a method and matches. Just checking. And I'll explain that in a minute. So if you say and matches, you will have a lot of pop-ups. So choose the one which is having and pattern. This is nothing but the pattern of, this is nothing but an incoming URL pattern. And was a tool. It is actually a tool Apache supplied before Maven, before Apache gave you Maven. So there are a lot of and style patterns, which is like a regular expression language. So here, let me say this. For example, one thing and you will understand. /home. You remember we have an endpoint /home. So tell me, do you want this /home available to only admin customers, admin users, customer users, or to all? This should be accessible to what? To all. So there is a method called as permit all. Okay. I'm telling you, it starts building an expression in a very English-like syntax. So becomes, guessable. So here we are saying authorize all the requests coming to this web application. And if the incoming and matcher pattern, incoming URL pattern and matcher is a way to supply the particular URL to particular permission, permit all. Now I want to give another one. So I'm adding another one. I think you will get it. So if it is a endpoint, by the way, this is not so restrictive. You can say star. So guess smartly. If you say /customer/2 stars, what does it mean? Will it intercept only /customer or /customer/login /customer/register /customer/whatever? Answer is everything. Are you getting me? So any URL pattern starting with /, it will be able to intercept, and we are adding a rule. So here I don't want to permit all. So here you have so many methods. So you have a method called as has any role, which has again what? Varas, or there is a method has role somewhere. Okay. So here there is a method has role. So now obviously this endpoint /customer, currently I don't have multiple. So even if you say /customer is sufficient, here the role name. So should I say role_admin or only admin? Answer is only admin. I think here I have to say role_admin. I'll just check my notes because it is so confusing. In one place you have to say it, in another place not. 2 minutes. You should not waste time. No, it is all consistent. I was checking whether I was making a mistake here. No. So coming back here, if you say has authority, role prefix is required. Here this is fine. So customer means what? Of course has role of customer. But if you say any role having customer or admin, you can do it that way. So /customer, maybe let's show you that, because admin role I don't want to give it to anyone. So just replace it by has any role, and here it's a Bharat. So it's guessable. I hope it is guessable. So tell me, /home endpoint, will it require a special authorization or will it be accessible to all? To all. Any endpoint starting with /customer, who can access? Which users can access? Under customer role, admin role, or both of them? Either of them? Either of them. You understand that? It has any role. I mean, you can just take the cursor here and you can read. So shortcut for specifying URLs require any number of roles. Okay. Has any authorities, has any role is the same. And let's figure the next one and finish it. And matches. And here I'm saying, now I'm just configuring the admin one, which is one I configured customer. Okay. So configure the admin endpoint. So I'm not saying star. You can do that. I've shown you. And here it has to have a role of a administrator. Admin you can add as per your project. So this is your role-based authorization. This is as simple as it. Of course, when I take, not I, but okay, whenever I show you the project demo or ready-made demo I share, you have a lot of things. There is something called a CSRF, lot of things exist. So this is it. And now how to tell that this has to still support the basic authentication? See this, guys. Form login also for browser clients and basic authentication. The authentication scheme has to be having that basic authentication. So there is a connector here. And so once again, we get that HTTP security object, and then you do this thing, whatever it has given. So I'm saying form login. So in case you want to test it, so it will be /login /logout, all endpoints will be available. And I want to have the HTTP basic authentication done. Oh, my mistake. And connector, I forgot. And then I have HTTP basic authentication. Oh, I should say Control C. I just want to give you this. So what it means is authorize all requests. I'm writing the comments and sending you the code. All the requests coming to this application. This is obvious. So /home accessible to all. Okay. This one now I will not waste time. It is accessible to either /customer endpoint to customer as well as admin role, and /admin would be for this. And this is for, I'll write the connector on the next line, enables form login. That is what it means. Supplies to a browser client login and logout features. And this is to enable or enables basic authentication. So as you can see, if you understand, I'll send you this in a minute. I'm just explaining. So guys, we have borrowed things from the superclass. We are overriding, of course, but these things authorized request, same. Only thing is I added the role-based authorization, and I'm still sticking up with form login and HTTP basic. If you really increase the worth of your project, you can later replace the basic authentication by JWT-based authorization. So I'm planning to give you the share some project ready kind of a demos. So at that time, one of the demo will be JWT-based authorization. So let me share this with you. We are done. We are done configuring. You just have to test it. Wait a second. You must have done this already for the comments I'm sending you. The configuration class. So I hope, of course, you are going to see some errors, but unless until you see the errors, you'll not remember the mistakes. So everyone done? Can we test it? Can we run the Spring Boot app? Managed? Okay. So run the Spring Boot app again and watch the console. All answers are on the console. Oh, did I disable the jars? I was expecting an exception and I'm not getting an exception, so I'm worried. No, it is there. Why it did not throw any exception? It should throw you password encoder being not found type of an exception. So 2 seconds. Did I forget anything? Add configuration, enable web security. It's supposed to throw an exception because it forces us to encode the password. I'm just wondering why I'm not getting it. It is throwing the exception. Which exception, Yogesh? Read out. It should show. It should say something regarding, password encoder bean. Okay, you might have made other mistake. Let me debug my own code. So add configuration is fine. Enable web security is fine. Just a second. I'll just add a. You can do this. I'm just testing it. I added a breakpoint here. I'm just confirming whether it is entering this, whether it has understood us at all. Right click. I'm stopping this. Instead of running it as a Spring Boot app, I'm saying debug as Spring Boot app. Right click, debug as, and the option is Spring Boot app. So, okay, it is going there, but then why it does not? So let me see. It is going through all my stuff. I'm just doing a little bit of debugging, so bear with me. Forgotten something. In-memory authentication is fine. So saying here, this is all fine. This is what the authentication manager is all about. So this is fine. Builder is security is fine. This is too much internal. So if you want, you can ignore this. And here, oh, that is not going to my HTTP security. It's supposed to go to our configure method. What I'll do is I'll just add a next breakpoint here. Configure HTTP security. I'll just say resume. See, it is not getting to our this. That's the problem. Why it is not going there? Anyone found this? No, that is because Yogesh, you passed a null there. You can't pass a null there. It's a different problem. Just give me time because my thing is not working. It is not going here. Can you see any obvious problem? Configure HTTP security, authorize request. Any request do I have to say? I think I've missed out on some of the methods. It's not going to my code, but it should have at least gone to my breakpoint. Let me check. Have I forgotten anything important? Authorize request and matches. That's it. It requires. I've not run any mistake. You should see the exception. But my bigger worry is, guys, let's debug. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm allowed to anyway debug. So let me just stop this debugging session and start all over again, because I've not found the problem yet. So here, let's see this. Right click, debug as Spring Boot app. It is entering my authentication, but it is not entering my this method. This is entering fine, which is what expected. So it has stored these two user details, but I'm still unable to figure out. Authorize request. If you find anything, do let me know. Slash home? No. This one, Girish, I said slash as well as slash home permit all. Okay, so, but for that to, I'll tell you logically. So for that to reach, it has to reach this endpoint. I am so sorry. It has to reach this breakpoint. It is not entering here is my worry. You understand my worry? So HTTP basic. If it comes inside, then yes, okay, some mistake I can understand. But why it is not coming inside is my question. And anyway, I'll not waste too much of your time, but I still want to figure it out why. So here, let's see. Oh, it went this time. I don't know, like, why it did not went here. This is what is definitely expected. Authorize request. So it is, let's see. And I'm enabling the form login, and it should be basic also. So I'll tell you what is it I'm expecting. From Spring 5 onwards, this is your Spring Security 5.3 or some version. Spring 5.x onwards, it doesn't allow you to add the password as a clear text. From Spring 5 onwards, it forces you to choose a default. Okay, earlier versions, it used to provide the default. It was called no op password encoder. But now onwards, I mean 5 onwards, Spring 5 later version onwards, it forces you to configure a password encoder bean. And as you can see, I have not configured any password encoder bean, and surprisingly, it is still working, which is what is worrying me like. So I don't want to waste too much time here. But this is a point for me. I mean, I'll have to dig in this, that why it is. Okay, so forget that aspect. I will look into it 100%. Let's check whether it is working for us at all. So here, we will come to no authentication, admin. And now see, after you configure it, what do you say, further, what is it you are getting earlier, guys? Tell me. We were getting 401 unauthorized, but what were you getting? Empty body content or non-empty body? Response body was empty or non-empty. Do you remember things? It was empty. So now it is giving you more details because you have configured it further. So timestamp status, unauthorized, and path is /admin. So anyone wants to, let's not check the admin first. Let's check the home first. So tell me, is your new security configuration allowing all the users? Okay, have we yet authenticated? No. So is it requiring any authentication, or is homepage available, accessible to all? Yes. And which is the method we use for that? You remember /matches / home and permit all. Making sense? Okay. Next one. So I wanted to take you gradually. So now say / I think anyone can guess what we are going to do. /customer, when you say send, 100% unauthorized. So tell me, whose credentials you can add? Okay, I've got, I'll talk in my own usernames. I don't know about you. So here, can I add Rama's credentials, Mihir's credential, either or neither? Okay, you are saying Mihir's credential, but I will say, see guys, /customer can accept any role user, customer as well as admin. Are you understanding it? Both, yeah, exactly. So either one of it. Let's start with Mihir's credential. So I don't know, you might be giving different names, Mihir and 4534. I'm super surprised why that is working, but anyway, like I can't find it out immediately. So change it to basic auth. We are still using the basic authentication, guys. Mihir, and I forgot the person meantime. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and here send the request. Okay, finally. So I thought actually, in the beginning itself it gets it, but maybe Spring Container was also slow this time. This is what I was expecting, guys. So maybe I might be remembering or I may be connecting it wrongly. This is what is the error I was expecting, but looks like it doesn't detect it unless until a request comes in. So guys, tell me, is it working for you or not working for you? 500 is too vague. Don't go by 500. You are a Java developer. So you should go for root cause and all that. So password encoder, not map. I mean, it is mapped for ID null. In short, in simple word, Spring Security is telling you, we have upgraded ourselves from 5.x, and unless and until you supply us with a password encoding mechanism, in short, password encoder bean, we will not allow this. Okay. So /home worked because it was permit all. And here, this is what is the exception I was looking for. Maybe I was looking for it at the wrong time. Okay. So now this is the problem statement. Understood the problem statement? Now the solution. What is the solution? Solution is configure a password encoder bean. So a small question. If this was XML, how you would have configured a new bean? In the XML days, how we used to configure any bean? Using the bean tag. Everyone remembers bean, ID, class, whatever, scope, etc., lazy and all. But here, which is the corresponding annotation for whatever, that bean tag @bean. So stop your this thing, stop your container, Spring Boot app. I'll just change this back to Spring and open the debugging view for this. And here, yeah, so let us add I'll put it here. So configure password encoder bean. There is a long reason. That filter chain which it uses internally is called as the delegating filter proxy. And that filter chain specifically looks for whether you have encoded the password or not. And initially means in earlier versions when we used to work on it, earlier years, Spring Security 4.x, they used to pass by default no op. No op means no operation. No op password encoder, which allowed you to add the clear text passwords. But Spring Security says you're no longer allowed to use it. So there are so many password encoders. So I'll ask you, just open this thing, Google, and look for bcrypt generator. So search for bcrypt generator, guys. Got access to bcrypt generator. This later we are going to use the different mechanism, but initially, got it? bcryptgenerator.com, online bcrypt hash generator and checker. So hashing, the difference between hashing and encryption is hashing is a one-way encryption function. That's going into too much into security. So now this is the bcrypt encoder. This is a site, basically bcrypt generator. So what we are going to do is we are going to pass our password here, and I'm going to say encrypt, one-way encryption here. So, and we will see that generated password, hashed password, encrypted password, and that we will supply with our password. But before you can use this, you have to tell Spring Container that you are using a special type of password encoder. So that is what we are encoding here. So configure password encoder bean, and the vendor for this is bcrypt. Bcrypt encoder. Okay, so start with the new tag, new annotation @bean. So indicates that a method produces a bean to be managed by the Spring Container, 100% equivalent to your bean tag. So they give you, this is nothing but your bean tag XML file, and just look at their example, pop-up example. This is a method level annotation, and your method name can be anything, but typically the norm is we write it as the type of the bean you are returning, and here you have to create the bean and return it to the container. Okay, so identical to, I already have said equivalent to this. Let's not waste your time. And what you are going to add is, it has to be a public method. And if you see in Spring Security, there is an interface called as password encoder. Read service interface for encoding password, and they give you what is the standard implementation. The standard implementation itself is bcrypt password encoder, so that we are encoding. So give that as a password encoder. It's an interface reference pointing to implementation class. Typical norm is, by the way, you can give any method name, but typical norm is give the same with a lowercase. And here, this whole support is inbuilt to Spring Security framework. So return new, there is a bcrypt password encoder. Return it. And if you take a cursor here, it is coming from your security package. See this OS crypto, entering cryptography, and bcrypt and password encoder. So add this. So who is giving the instructions to whom? As a programmer, you have to configure this bean. Earlier, you are used to pure XML or that hybrid approach. Here it is zero XML configuration based approach. Tell me, I can send you this if you need it. It's a one-liner. Done the configuration. And now run this again. We are not yet done, but I like to show you the problems so that you will not forget and you will not have mistakes. Done. So it says, fine, started. Clear the console because you're going to see something soon. And go to this and give the endpoint again. And what is it saying? Still, see this. Where is that? Authorization. Mihir and 1, 2, 3, 4. And see the error message here. See this. It tells you in such a clear-cut manner. I keep telling you guys, all you have to read is console. Tell me, what do you interpret? What is your Spring Security telling you? Have we encoded the password yet as per the bcrypt? Answer is no. You got this? So here, you could have done it one way. That is how I show to beginners. So you can add a 1, 2, 3, 4 string and say encrypt. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4 was this encrypt. You get this bcrypt encoded password and you can paste. But I'm saying this was just to show you that it is internally using the bcrypt generator. When you are with Spring Security and when you have that bcrypt password encoder, there is an encode method for that. I'll repeat the last two statements. We added the configuration bean because without that it was saying no password encoder. So I said, okay, take password encoder. But now it is saying that whatever password you have supplied 1, 2, 3, 4 doesn't look like an encrypted or hashed or encoded password. So here is the change. You can stop this. And where are we? Security config. So now tell me, it's not a too difficult one. So is this a clear text password, or is it a encrypted, or to be precise, hash password? Encryption is different. It's a clear text. But now you don't have to worry. We have already got this bean. So simply call this method, which returns you the bcrypt encoder bean, and call its encode method. One thing is pass it, copy paste it from that and do that. But I would recommend that when you have the password encoder Spring supply, why go to third party? And here there is a method encode, and here you supply 1, 2, 3, 4. So now tell me, in our in-memory authentication store, are we storing the clear text password or bcrypt encoded password? What is it we are storing? Encrypted password, encoded password, and do the similar thing for this also. So I'm calling that password encoder dot encode and giving something. Done this? So have you passed it through the password encoder bean, guys? Run this again. Okay. So let's say the customer, what was the password? 54567, I guess. You just check. So Mihir password is 4567. So here, basic authentication, customer, and here, check this. Tell me, working or not working? Mihir, with his credentials, is he able to access the customer endpoint? Working fine? Understood the need? Your Spring Security 5 onwards, we are in 5.3 or something. It is forcing us to encode the password, and then yes, it is going to decode the incoming password. That authentication filter is decoding the password, matching it with the incoming one, and checking and verifying. You can check this. /home was anyway accessible. Now tell me, don't press enter. If I say /admin, 200, 401 or 403. Response code, of course, forbidden. Very right. Are you understanding now? So what has worked and what has not worked? Authentication, authorization, both or neither. Authentication has worked. But does Mihir, as a logged in user, does he have the access to the admin pages, admin resources? Of course not. And how we have dictated this? Just by overriding one method. That is your HTTP security. And here I have said, anyone who wants to access the /admin must have the admin role. And of course, Mihir is lacking that permission, throwing him out. Authorization failure. Understood what I'm saying? Exactly, role-based authorization. Very right, Rushikesh. You got it? So naturally, now check with the other one. Other one is what? With the admin access. Where's my admin access? So Rama and 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy. So here you change it credentials to Rama. And here, say, okay, anyway, start with admin. And you should see, naturally, she has admin access, so able to access admin resources. But what will happen if I say /home, accessible or not? Of course, accessible, permit all. But if I say /customer, 200, 401, 403, 403, allowed, because we have identified, we have written the rules. It is all up to your project. I don't know your project requirements, as I keep saying, but we have told has any role. So /customer /pages will be accessible to the customer role also and the admin role also. Making sense, guys? Understanding everything so far? So this is the second step crossed. First step was just add the Spring Security jars and see the magic. Second step is understand that magic or whatever little bit and replace the hard-coded or Spring Security generated credentials by yours using in-memory authentication. So now the ultimate step. Looking at time, I don't think we'll finish that, but at least I'll get you started. So tell me, we are going to make another copy. So here, which type of authentication builder we are using? We are using in-memory authentication. So imagine you want to add the Spring security to your projects, which I will 100% recommend. Do you really want to hard code these things, user credentials and the roles and the permissions in this in-memory store? Of course not. So what is the last goal? The last goal or the end goal is actually JWT, JOT, but takes another huge amount of time. So that, okay, the next style goal is replace what by what? In-memory authentication by DAO-based authentication. You got that? So I'm going to replace. Okay, so in case, let me say it properly. When you replace in-memory authentication by DAO-based authentication, which of the methods will change? Your choices are the first one, second one, both or neither. I think it is an easy question. Only the first one. Because that is where we are storing. See, there is a clear-cut, what is it called? Separation, guys. Your Spring Security offers you, thanks to the base class, Web Security Configurer Adapter. So all you will focus is now onwards. If you do the JWT, yes, there are certain things changed here. But for your basic authentication, this is all done. Only you will concentrate on, focus upon replacing this by DAO-based authentication. So here is the understanding part, the detailed flow. So till now, which was the authentication provider we were using? In-memory authentication. So now enter DAO-based authentication. So this flow is the same. The moment your incoming request, that authentication filter, one of the filters in the chain, detects basic auth header, it will extract the credentials, user credentials from basic auth header. Don't feel lost. Tomorrow, of course, when you are fresher, I'll recap all this and then we'll start with exam topics. When I say this, click on authorization. Click on headers. And this is that header I'm talking about. The name of the header is authorization and the value is basic. Basic is the keyword. And when you replace it by JWT, it changes to bearer token, etc. So this is what, whenever your incoming request is having the basic auth header, which filter will do the job, which filter will be activated? Authentication, basic authentication. The name of the filter itself is basic authentication filter. It will pick up these credentials. Authentication object will be created, but there's a this thing method is authenticated, so that will return false. So user is not yet authenticated. So the authentication object will be provided to the overall authentication manager, which starts like polling. Polling means checking, which is the authentication provider, which is going to help me to find out, to validate the user. So till now, it was in-memory authenticator. So what are the other flavors? Other versions. There is an OAuth, open authentication, which you can use for single sign-on and all that. Google, Facebook login, and you use it everywhere. There is LDAP based, another. So many services exist. So I'm going to show you one more. There is a JDBC based authentication also. So that is, there's a ready-made method, .jdbc authentication, and it gives you. But I don't want to show you JDBC based. I want to show you JPA based authentication. So I'll repeat the last line again. The authentication provider which I want to choose or we want to choose is JPA based authentication. But unfortunately, is there a ready-made solution Spring Security offers for the JPA based authentication? Answer is no. They call it as out of box. Is there any out of box implementation for this? Answer is no. So you need, this is where you step in to the last step. Last step means next step. So it all revolves around, listen to this. So I'll do it with you, little part at least, and then maybe in 10 minutes we can stop, or 10-15 minutes we can stop. So we are going to configure authentication manager builder. And if you want to choose your own custom service, so this is little confusing in the beginning. So the name of the interface is user detail service. Ready-made implementation classes are LDAP based authentication user detail service or OAuth based and JDBC based. But here, since we are choosing JPA, we will have to implement, understand me, as a programmer, we will be implementing custom user detail service, which has a single method, SAM, single method interface, single abstract method, and the name of the method is load by username. See the word. It is your authentication process is asking you to find the details using the method load by username. So this load by username, now, do you want to load these users from in-memory authenticator or from database? What is this discussion? It is everything from database. So now we will start building POJO. There will be a user POJO and the roles POJO, many-to-many association. One user can have multiple roles, one role can have multiple users, etc. So all your earlier training will definitely help you. Then we will write user repository, extending from JPA repository, roles repository, again extending from JPA repository, we'll configure and all that. And that repository will be injected in our custom user detail service. And then I can call the method. You remember those finder methods, find by username, find by password, etc. And this method, when I show you from the Java docs, it returns you, it doesn't return you the user object, it returns you the user details object. But user details is not a class, it is an interface. So this user details should wrap, it implements, user is implementation class, but user details, we will have our own custom implementation. So something like we will write custom user details, implement user details, and whatever are the database user details, which includes username, password, email, is it active, is the account expired, etc., etc. And sorry, roles, authorities, will be lifting it from the database and putting it in the user details object. And that user details object will be returned by this user detail service. So once this user details object is, created and sent, then the reverse flow begins. So this user details object will be sent back to the authentication manager. Authentication manager will check from the authenticate method, is the user authenticated? So if all goes well, I mean, the incoming credentials match with your actual database details, this will return true. I mean, is authenticated method will return true. And now your authentication object will not only have the credentials, it will store the principal. Principal is the user details, complete validated user details, including email, password, name, roles, authorities. And that will be returned to the filter, which will store this authentication object in security context folder. So as you can see, it's not a very easy flow. It takes time to understand the internals. If you say, okay, I don't want to understand internals, coding step by step, anyone can follow. But understanding internals, I've shared so many beautiful articles or so many links. I'll also this. So this is what is understanding and implementing it. So I'll be repeating it at least 2, 3, 10 times is impossible tomorrow last day. But the point is at least couple of times I'll see this. So looking at time, let us replace in-memory authenticator by the DAO-based authentication service, in short, user detail service, and let's get you started. Okay, so let me just give you the things. Don't touch this. Let this project be around. In short, make a copy. So you can rename it later as in-memory authentication, and the next copy we are making it as a DAO-based authentication. So you can stop this project. I mean, Spring Boot app, and I'm making a copy. If you say no, you don't want to, I'm anyway making copies for you. So I'll say this. So I'll call it as demo 2. I'll make the change in the description. So let me say this description first. This was the earlier one for Spring using basic authentication, basic in-memory authentication. That was your earlier one. Let us create the next copy. So you can Well, sharing it becomes easier for me, you know that. And here I'll say, and where is that other one? I don't think anywhere else it is. That's it. And here I'll say using DAO-based authentication. Replacing in-memory authentication by the DAO-based authentication. So, oh, sorry, I'll update. Hereafter, I'm not going to test it with browser. We are going to, you can, for all you know, just on the side line, you can also remove this. Since you are going to test it for what? REST controller over the backend. But by the way, one more statement. The same Spring security frameworks works beautifully for Spring MVC based web application. So at that time, I would say, don't remove this form login. But if you know that 100% of the times you are just going to use the Postman client or basic, better is React frontend and all that, you can comment this form login and keep only basic authentication. So that is also allowed. That is also legal. So coming back, I'm not changing that too much. I updated the project, I guess. Okay, so now let's start making the changes. I asked you already. Which method has to be modified? The configure method with authentication manager builder or the second one? Everyone knows it. So get rid of this. That's why I made a copy. So to enable DAO-based authentication using, there is, if you use JDBC based authentication, there is a ready-made out-of-box solution. LDAP has open authentication as using, but if you want to use Spring Data JPA or in general using JPA, it doesn't have it. So for that, what you have to do is, it will be based upon, so this is it. This will be further based upon the user detail service. Spring supplied, Spring security supplied. I forgot the packaging, user details service. Okay, so let's start. So when you say auth, the same authentication manager builder, you are customizing now, configuring now, not for in-memory, but for the user service, user detail service. So the name of the method is user detail service. Method name itself is, and read the description. Add authentication based upon custom user detail service, and that is passed in, and it then returns, are we using the in-memory authenticator or DAO-based authenticator object? And then that is how you'll be customizing the whole deal. So choose user detail service. So tell me, have we yet implemented our own custom user detail service? Implemented or not yet? Answer is not yet. That is the next step. So here you can simply say user. This is just a variable name. There's nothing here. So user detail service, of course, there is an error. So here you can say control1, and it will tell you, don't create a local variable, this, create a field, instance variable. So see the shortcut. So I just asked the IDE to create an instance of a user detail service. You take a cursor here, main interface, core interface, which loads user specific data. It is used throughout the framework as a user DAO. And this is the only strategy, standard strategy for DAO-based authentication. But do we have it or we don't? We don't have it. That will be the next step, building our own custom user detail service. And once we have it, we are going to give the add service annotation and all. So it will be auto-wired. So here, guys, I'm going in a top-down manner for a change. I'm not building it in a bottoms-up manner. Somewhere we will start doing that. But here, auto-wire by type, auto-wire, instance of custom user details service, which is not yet there. Currently, if you run it, you will get a null pointer because there is no implementation class which is given by default. So that will be the next step. This I just wanted to what? Remove the compiler error. And that's it. In some cases, guys, I have seen here you have to explicitly inject the password encoder bean. So here, but we will take this call. So there is another way. You can say here, see this, allow specifying password encoder injected. But I'm saying it is, I've seen in most of the cases it is not required. And you remember we have already got a method which returns the bean. So if it doesn't, if it requires and if it starts giving me the errors, giving us the exception, we will add. But in most of the cases, I have observed that once you have configured this bcrypt encoder bean, the user detail service automatically injects it. So that is yet to be seen. So currently, keep it commented. If required, if we get the exception again like before, we will uncomment it. So what we have done is, I'm just going to do one step and stop here. So all you have to do is, rather all we did is replace in-memory authentication service by the user detail service, which is yet to be implemented, which is going to be based upon DAO based. And that DAO will be JPA repository, JPA based implementation. Completed this much. Code is as usual less. Explanation takes longer. Finish this part. So exactly one step and that will be it. So you tell me now, what is it called? Logical next step. I've already said it somewhere. What should you be doing next? You tell me and we'll do. Interface, Yogesh, interface is Spring supplied, Spring security supplied. What is it you will have to do? The implementation class. User detail service interface is Spring supplied. You have to customize it. You have to create custom implementation class. And since it is a service, we typically add it in the service layer. So open the package. I'm creating it and stopping right here. So we have already created empty packages. So go to COM app service, choose the class and give such appropriate names or self-explanatory name. So custom means not built-in, you are supplied. Custom user details service implementation, IMPL. So I hope the name is quite clear. It is custom user details service implementation, or you can say custom user details service, anything. And which is the interface it is going to implement? Are we writing are we writing interfaces? No, it is Spring security supplied. So this is your user details service. So please, core interface which loads the DAO-based data or whatever user data. Okay. The moment you do this, it will give you an error. It contains one method. So here, override and implement it. That is your load by username. Okay. So guys, you can go either way. So code and along with that, understand the internal flow, detailed flow. So this is it. But if I write only this much, do you think this will be configured or this will be understood as a Spring Bean? Understood or not understood? I mean, container understands it? Not really. So which is the annotation we add at a service layer? Typically @service. You get this? So this is your service layer annotation to indicate. So just it is a stereo, sorry. And this is your standard stereotype annotation. And here, to load the user by the username, what is it? Where are going to be our user details continuing to be continued tomorrow? Yes, where are going to be your data? This thing, of course, database. Database reflected, database tables represented by what? POJOs. So which POJOs we will create tomorrow? User POJO, user entity, and the role. Okay, so user table and the roles table. Which relationship will be existing between them? One-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many, or whatever. Okay, Gaurav, I can go for one-to-many. Better is many-to-many. One user can have multiple roles And under one role can be multiple users. So which is more fitting, many to many. Okay. Then we will write the JPA repositories. Which repositories? User repository and role repository. And as usual, we will inject that user repository and load the user details by username. And we will create our own custom user details implementation class, which has got all user details, and that will be returned to the retail flow is what you should be keeping in your mind. So that will be returned to the authentication manager in form of authentication object. And this authentication object now contains fully authenticated details. This will be stored in the security context folder. So like I said, to be continued tomorrow. Got something? 5%, 10% as usual, minimum threshold. Okay, and we'll be revising this flow and we'll be continuing with this tomorrow onwards. By the way, I have written everything. I think. Yeah, I've written all the steps and all these things. This project if you can have later, but because this is not JWT anyway. So other thing, almost all the things I've written. So these are the steps we are following. Of course, after doing the complete revision, that will be all. I'll be uploading all of this. Open session and view. War file creation, can we do it now? Okay, you seem to be having a lot of patience today suddenly. Not bad. It's a compliment, not a accusation. Okay, anyway, so let's do that. It takes you 5 minutes. So Control-Shift-W. Our Spring Boot application is already started. So choose some monolithic web application. Okay, so let's choose the latest one. Okay, I can see D20 Spring MVC Hibernate. I'm just confirming. When I say monolithic, you know, JSP based view layer. I can see that. Okay, so pick up any. You can use. This was our CMS, the latest one or whatever. So the moment you have this, if you remember the packaging we had chosen as a WAR. What does WAR stand for? Web Application Archive. So if it is a standalone, typically web application, it is advised. You can, by the way, bundle it into jar also, but typical recommendation is bundle it as a web application archive. So it just takes you a minute to create it. Have you identified some web application project? Can I start? It's just a one step. Right click and package it. Okay, so right click on it. You got all the tools ready. So choose the run as option and choose Maven build or okay, empty Maven build. This also, I think. Anyway, choose the one which doesn't have any shortcuts and all. And Maven is a project management tool which has project phases, life cycles, and it has goals. So the goal is which we are choosing is package. Don't give the wrong spelling like me here. So the profiles there are basically profiles also by this developer profile and all this, a lot of things exist. So here package, just choose the goal as package. I have not changed anything else. Rest all is all fine. Maven runtime and simply say, just a second, package pom.xml. Yeah. And okay, where it is going to be creating that war file under the target folder. You will see it in a minute and simply say run. Watch the console, please. It might download, additionally the war plugin. So you can see it has launched the whole application context Spring container, and it is using that Maven war plugin. Is it this thing downloading some new war plugin dependency? Has it started downloading something from the net? Okay, so it will just download one plugin, Maven war plugin. Is it over? Build failed. So that means that Maven plugin is not there. So guys, you have to try it with a better, proper network. All you have to download is you disconnect from Zoom. I mean, anyway, we are stopping here and you clean up your repository and try this. Okay. So in that case, ignore this. It is saying that there are no activated profiles. Fine. So it tells you actually where the war is created. I'll show you. So here, if you say right click and refresh, you will see a target folder under SRC. See the folder structure. You will see Maven dependencies, SRC and target. Expand the target folder. And can you see, oh, where is my war? Yeah, here is my war file. So see the naming. It just using the project name, artifact ID, and appends it by the version. So if you hit this 0.0.1 snapshot version, change the version from the pom.xml and rebuild. Again, repackage it. So currently I'm okay with it. Can you see? Can you see the war file under the target folder? Are you observing it? Very few answers. Okay, some of you at least. Like I said, it is still downloading. Take your time. It's anyway we are stopping here. So later you can always just one step now you have to do. So now I'm saying this war is what? A bundle, a package. Okay, package is the wrong word, bundle. And what is the USP of a Spring Boot? It bundles that embedded Tomcat container. In short, do you require any IDE here after your project is all bundled? It is ready for distribution in a bundled file format called as WAR. So I'm not exiting from the IDE because I want to show you the jar file creation also exactly same. So just confirm, guys, your Tomcat embedded server should be stopped. There should not be the Tomcat server because how can you run two Tomcats on the same port? So is it all, nothing is working? I mean, nothing is running. Go to the folder structure, please, wherever your workspace is. And here, this is my workspace. Go to that folder, D20, I guess. Yeah. So here you will see under SRC the target. So come to this folder where you should see the war file, which I showed you from ID. Open the command prompt. Everyone open here. So you are going to your workspace, target folder, where you can see the war file. Is it visible? Is it available? Quickly. You can see that? Okay. So now, guys, Spring Boot, the starting point you remember is what? A main-based class. Spring Boot annotated with @Spring Boot application. So how did we used to run the main classes in core Java? Java followed by fully qualified class name containing the main method. But now it is not a standalone class. It is embedded. It is bundled into our file. So in short, how do you run? This is an executable jar or what? So the command is easy. Java. The option is -jar. There's no hyphen war. So -jar and the name of the file, which is what? Something day20. And you can just say tab. Press the tab. Don't type it. So Java -jar day20 whatever. Oh, not this, not snapshot. Sorry, choose the one with the war extension. You got it? Java -jar and the name of the war file. Reach here or not? And simply press enter. And you can see your familiar Spring Boot logo. It has launched your internal embedded Spring, Tomcat container, and your application is up and running. So guys, here is my project tip. After you have solved everything and after you have done, actual tip is upload it in form of Docker image or upload it to AWS or something. But that I'm not taking. The DevOps part I'm not taking here. So the part is at least do this much, and then you can tell this one whatever your interviewers and all. This is what we have, and then you can just run it. I forgot the port number. There are so many changes in the port number. No worries. You can see it from here, right? So where's that port number? Port number 9090. Okay. You check where it is running. So localhost 9090 and Spring MVC boot, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And you can see that whatever that content management system, whatever part was added. This is basically nothing but the good old application which you have. So tell me, understood the war creation? It's not a concept really. You're just bundling. You're just creating a war file and doing that. Okay, so that is what I wanted to show you. Exactly similar way. You can see all those things. So it has got an embedded container, a bundle. So this is what we Dockerize. Your DevOps training is done or not yet done? I said your DevOps training is done or not yet. Okay, so it will happen later. So then you can have the Docker image, which will be totally like free. Docker image will contain, it's nothing but a VM, virtual machine, and that will contain all of this. And then you can upload this Docker image to any of Azure or AWS or any cloud, and you can make it available to all the users. But that is next further steps. So this was your WAR file creation loaded locally. You can say Control C to shift it. You will see when you say Control C, it is not aborting. It is shutting down that Hikari connection pool and everything and doing the graceful shutdown. Understood the WAR file creation and its deployment and execution running and all that with the embedded server. 100% same steps for your REST API backend. So now choose any REST API, 100% same steps I'm telling you. So you can choose our net banking or whatever endpoint. So if you choose net banking REST server, this we have bundled as a jar. Okay, because it is not a web application, it's like just a backend REST API provider. 100% same steps. Right click on it, run as Maven build. Again, the goal is the same, package the application. There is a package also, the other option is install. Both are the same. So package is the goal and you are saying run it. So it is doing this. It also adds the tests. So if some of the tests are failing, earlier somebody was saying test fail, this thing build failed. See, this also failed. So here you can always do things, guys. So here I have got a test authenticate customer and those numbers, I was having an assertion, but now my database is saying something else. So if your build has failed not because of plugin, but because of test, comment that test. Okay. So here, because now that count of number of records, this is what bank accounts must have changed overnight. Overnight means after testing. So it is telling me that some test is failing. SRC test Java. I'm simply not taking chances. Control A, control/ commenting all the tests here, DAO layer test, and commenting the service layer test also. So this is where it was having a problem. See, assert equals. So this was, we were running and I counted something like 7 accounts. I ran it, must have run that today. So that is what was failing. So you can check it. So the build failure can be because of 2 reasons. Test cases failing or your plugin download fail. So just figure it out, save it and run the same goal again. Run as and add the goal as package. So I'm just running under this. Now it is failed. I mean, there are no test cases. So this test run 1 and this is all build success I'm getting. And the location is the same, target. So you can refresh it. And you can see under target, now this time it has created a jar file. Working or not working. After commenting the test, did it start working for some of you? For those it was not working earlier, but I don't know where the test cases are. Working fine. Okay, so now your jar is created 100% the same way. Jar Java -jar and the name of the jar file. So let's go to that folder. Net banking server, target folder. Open the command prompt from here so that you don't have to carry the entire Eclipse environment. Your end user, why should, he's not a developer. He's purchased your solution. So what will be the requirement? Only the JDK part. All he has to install is Java version, currently JDK 11. Later you can even change that and just run the jar. So Java -jar and whatever is the name, net banking something. Net banking snapshot. Snapshot is coming because of that version. and it should launch your embedded Tomcat container. And you can see it has the context path this, and we had that how I mean the whole thing should start. And then you can try your endpoints, banking, net banking endpoints, and it should work in the very same manner. It is running on 7070, etc. So that is all about jar and var creation. This is the last phase in your project development. A phase after that will be after you learn DevOps, you can Dockerize it if you want, create a Docker image, and you can put it, you have AWS has a free subscription, something they call it evaluation license or something, I don't remember, something they have, or not Azure, what is it? There's a Heroku cloud. So there are so many free cloud providers for a particular period. I think AWS gives you free subscription, some limited access to their plans for 1 year. So you don't have to have a credit card and all that. I don't remember credit card is required or not. Anyway, you figure it out in the DevOps module, and you can actually upload your WAR file or that jar file, and then it will be accessible to all the clients all over. In short, it is available over the net. Understood some things? So currently we'll keep it on the local host and locally available. Got me? Understood me? Okay, so kind of maybe. So that will be all for today. And here I'll upload all of this. I mean, jar and var I don't have to upload, and the target becomes too heavy. I mean, the whole thing. So the point is I will upload. What did we do after in the lab is the security. Okay, so both these demos I'll share in the day 21 lab data. Any specific questions before we log off? Okay, so that try it out. Go through that Spring Security architecture flow diagram and the readmes and all that. And then we can continue here to the completion of basic authentication. And after that, I'm going to take all the exam topics. Exam topics means some pending topics, reflection, clonable, some topics in Core Java, some topics in J2E. That will be all. See you around. Most welcome, all of you.